Good morning, traders, and welcome to the weekend update here, the last update from Kauai, as I will be heading home tomorrow night. So things continue to roll on well. We've had a great run of trades. This is since December 1st when I started using this software and tracking everything. Excuse me. And we can take a look at the list of those trades. And those are them here. And there's a second page and the third page that we can go through on those. But these are all the summarized stats, of course, up here. And then we can look at the bar chart, which goes and plots all of the P&Ls of each successive trade. So again, things are moving along quite well. Let's take a look at our graphs. And we look at the graphs page, you can see we'll have some nice trades open as well. So these three, let me just narrow it to these three. So these three are the current class trades that are open. And we can see that in our class trades, our rut trade is very nicely profitable. Let me, since it is the weekend here, sometimes this loads a little slower. Let me pause and reload. Okay, so here we go. So our rut trade is nicely profitable, and again, it's still the T0 line is still very manageable on this. So there's not a lot of gamma to it. So I'm still leaving this intact. We're down to just a single butterfly that we can either start rolling the wings in on and tightening it up a little bit, or we can, let it go a little bit longer, which is kind of where I'm at on it right now. Early next week, I'll probably put some sort of order floating out there to either tighten the wings or maybe just go ahead and close that thing out at around a 20% profit. So those are a couple things we'll look at on this trade this coming week. This one, we came very close to hitting a thin out, if you will, on Friday. It almost hit Friday morning, but then during the day on Friday, as the market makers bring in some volatility into the market, and they do that going into the weekends, so that you don't get that extra free theta, if you will, over the weekends. So that became more expensive to take off as the day progressed on Friday, and it did not hit. But I do suspect if our market opens up anywhere around where it closed on Friday, that this will likely hit and put us into the position of the dashed line with no additional upside risk. And then we have this one that's also moving along just fine, and we don't have an order out there on that at this point, but I suspect that we will probably put an order out there to be thinning that as well here, maybe next week as we start hitting around the 10% range or so on that trade. So again, nice run of trades. Now, let me give you a little caveat here. So we have had a very good run of trades, and this can be normal, but at some point, we're going to get that big volatility shift. And if you've taken the deep dive butterfly class, you know that that's the one time that butterflies will really hurt you, is when you have a big volatility shift, particularly from a low volatility environment to a higher volatility environment. That's why we're keeping small here, okay? Even in my own personal trading right now, out of my normal trading account of 200K, I only have about 40K in use, 40K in margin in use. Because if you do size up, as soon as you think everything's going great, I got this, and you start sizing up, that's when that volatility event will hit. And it can wipe out months worth of gains if you're not careful, if you're not sized properly. So I'm being super selective about the price I'm paying to get into things. I'm trying to keep my risk as low as possible, but still get some income generated out of these trades. But I have to also accept that right now, when I'm running a fewer number of trades in a lower volatility environment and I have more of my capital at risk, my income will be reduced a little bit accordingly. And again, that is by design, so that when that big volatility event does occur, I'm not caught with a full load of trades that is all taking a a hit at the same time. I've got lots of powder dry so that I can start layering in at that point. That's a critical fact that we need to all keep in mind here. So one of the things as we look at SPX, you can see we started with a channel that was this downtrend line here and this downtrend line here. And then we finally started to bounce a little bit, started making higher lows. When that happened, our downtrend line kind of shifted to this one right here. Then we finally broke through that, pulled back to that trend line, and then rallied a little bit higher. So I've now drawn in yet a new trend line here. So the thing I want you to see is that these trend lines are starting to flatten, and then ultimately they may start to tip upward, putting us back into an uptrend. Now, I'm not fully convinced that's going to happen yet here, particularly when we're running into debt ceiling and things along those lines. We have been chopping sideways, as I have expected for some time. We're still in this big wedge pattern here. Okay, so it's not unrealistic to think that we could drop back here to the 4,000 range. And again, continue to just chop in here, getting a little tighter, a little tighter, a little tighter. And then when we do pop out of this wedge, we're going to pop out most likely with some force. Wedges favor breaking to the upside. But again, there's a lot of political news coming up here in the coming months that could change exactly what does happen there. So for now, my expectation is still chopping around between 4,200 and 4,000. So the trades that I've looked to put on going forward are going to fall within that general guideline. But you'll notice on Friday, I floated butterfly orders out there, and if I'm not filled, I'm not filled. I'm putting orders out there quite a ways in advance. I'm willing to be patient on their entry, and just kind of see what we get and keep it small. So that is the weekend update here for the May 13th weekend. And of course, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put your questions in the comment section below. Thank you very much. And those of you that are part of the trading group, put your comments in the trading group if you would. I like to answer all of those comments in there so that all of the other traders can see those answers. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you back from California next week.